Alright, so welcome to my AR presentation. Last time I have made a video about LiDAR. So alongside the core LiDAR frameworks is the thing that really excited me and my friend to work on this project. I'm going to talk a little bit about what is it and what you can do with it, and then we're going to get started implementing in a couple of apps, and I'll show you how it can be used. So what exactly is an augmented reality? And I think the best example that people always tend to use is Magic Leaps video, where this whale basically jumps out of the gym floor and wows all the kids. It's a great demo and shows very basically what it is. uh, it's a way of putting virtual objects inside the real world, making it appear as if the real and the virtual world are merged together. So magically, it's a huge endeavor. So to be able to make this really mainstream, and it's really could change the way that we interact with digital technology in the future. So there are some really great examples. So for example, TikTok on any sorts of ground of surface that you've got for a way of measuring real world's distance by simply using the camera. All this is the coolest one that we've seen so far. There's basically a portal where you can look into another world and even step into another world, and obviously it's incredible. So how exactly does it work? Well, it's basically a way of implementing ordained reality, and it's pretty similar to the other frameworks like LiDAR and some other softwares. So that implements augmented reality. So Apple makes works in a similar ways, in the same that it allows you to create and track the correspondence between the real world space, 3D space, and the virtual space that you can create, where you can model visual content, and when your apps display that virtual content together with a live camera image, then the user basically experience what called augmented reality. Right, which is simply just an illusion that your virtual content is a part of the real world. And this brings us to a really important point for our project, for our app to work with this world tracking. You need to have certain hardwares, and more specific, the hardware is the A9 chip or above that Apple produce. So a 9 or a 10 chips. So in terms of device, that basically means anything that was released after the iPhone 6, including the iPhone 6 such as Plus, etc. And you can read down the list, and doesn't mean that if you have an iPhone 6 that the app won't run. It usually means that it won't have word tracking enabled. What does that mean? So world tracking is where your virtual object is placed in 3D space. So if you move towards it with your iPad, it will get bigger, and if you move away, it will get smaller. And you can also look all around it. If you didn't have world tracking, then it would still be floating in the mid-air, but it just won't correspond to a real 3D space. So if you move around it, move with your uh, be aware that running an app with arcade is pretty battery intensive, especially in creating as I'm creating these videos. It sucks up my battery like there's no tomorrow. Those are just some things to be aware of. So let's get on to the code. So here we are creating a new sim by using the ship as LCN file that the Xcode already have inside the art LCN assets folder, and then we're putting the scene inside the scene view. And just before the view shows up on screen, we are creating a configuration of the type AR well tracking session configuration. So this is really important to remember. Previously, how we talked about the fact that you need an A9 chip in order to get augmented reality working properly on your iOS app. This is the reason for it. So if you have a look at Apple's main Al-Qaeda framework documentation, you can see that one of the first topic in the configuration, and there's two types of configuration. One is the AR session configuration, and the other is the world tracking session configuration. So the world tracking session configuration is the one that is most of and this is what we use normally associated with augmented reality. What it means is that when you conjure as a virtual objects inside your real environment, not only does the object keep its position in the real world, when you rotate your device also keeps its positions when you travel side move your device, so it feels uh, really real, and it keeps that augmented reality illusion at maximum. Now let's have a look of the other one, which is a session configuration. So you add these types of I guess to the device that you have on A9 chip, or something like an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 6, although because arcade is pretty demanding on the graphics processing on your device. You'll see that if you're using really old device, it's going to seriously struggle under all that processing weight. So the maximum difference between a session configuration and a world tracking session configuration is that you move the device, the virtual objects will move with your device, and that illusion of augmented reality is kind of broken. Although in session configuration you still get this device rotation effects, and I'm going to quickly show you what these two types of configurations look like. Uh, Alright, so let's try and find where that airplane that we found. Yeah, we found it. So as you can see, this is the well tracking session configuration, and you can walk up to it, above it, and below the airplane, and go really close, go around and look at the back. It's really crazy how easy to implement that was, and how I'm going to delete those two words, well tracking, and you're going to see quite a bit the session configuration, and how can't see we when I move left and right. My object doesn't move with me, so it's sort of floating in the same place, but it's not really the full experience. Okay, now I just want to briefly explain how our projects work, our app works. So let's say that you've got your app running, and you tap a point on your screen. Now the tap is interpreted as a touch location, and that will trigger the touches begin methods, and we're going to look for the location of that touch. Now that touch locates in a point in 2D space. It has X and Y components on the iPhone on or your iPad, etc. Now what we want though is we want to convert that the location, and we want to let the travel through the camera image and hit a point in 3D space. So place on your plane that we've already added to the scene. So now that point that the heat test has detected within the scene has a third positional components. The X component to its now position 3D space, and this the point that we're going to the placing our dice. So depending on the Z component, your dice is going to be rendered larger or smaller. So if the Z was closer to you, then your dice would get rendered larger. And if the Z was further away, then it would be scaled down smaller. So it begins placed in our 3D plane based on our
So let me
real
quick right up
or
go and open
our
the
real
app.
horizontal plane that
As you
was
see,
detected.
all the plane is
Interesting.
rendered, and our app is a dice game. Whenever you tap on the screen, there's a dice that comes randomly, so that you can play with your friend a bet or something. And this is how it works. And as you see, it's everything is augmented reality. Let me open it again and show you. The app crashes. Okay, now as you see again, it recognizes the table and then start rendering the AR or augmented reality. And then whenever we tap on the screen, there's a random uh, dice are coming out, and that's it. Okay, thanks for your time, Lausha. I hope you like our project. And if you have any questions, you can ask us on our WeChat. Also, send you our old reports and all the source codes that we've made. And then, okay, thanks for your time. Thanks, Lausha.